Hello friends, Rosa here in the Rosa Stringworks Workshop. Got a nice J45 Gibson that's missing a bridge. When I say a bridge too far, I mean it's too far gone. So far gone it wasn't even there. So we're going to show you how I built a new bridge for that and put that on. We've seen that before, but I think you'll find a couple of new things in this video. Also, I'm going to start a new segment every once in a while. This isn't going to appear in every video because I won't have anything in every video. I got a couple of emails from a couple of folks from across the pond, and I thought I'd just read their emails and then I'll show you their pictures to go along with this. This one's from Ireland, and it's from Michael McGahan. Now, if I'm Americanizing your name too much there, Michael, I apologize. But he says, "Hi, Jerry. My name's Michael McGahan, and I live on the west coast of Ireland in the county of Sligo." I guess that's S-L-I-G-O, so I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, too. "I have been following your videos for quite some time. I really enjoy them and have learned quite a bit from them. I'm a full-time musician and have done running repairs to a couple of my instruments using your videos as a guide. They then go to a local luthier when I get home. If only you were closer, or even on the same continent." Yeah, being across that pond, it just does make things a little more difficult. He says, "I play an Andy Manson Irish bouzouki," and that's how I pronounce it. I don't know if that's the right way or not. "That I got from him in 1978. It needs a setup every time I get home. I also play a Turkish oud, O-U-D, these are over my head, a Persian sitar, and an Indian sitar." And he has the sitar spelt differently there. I don't know if that's on purpose or what, but the Persian one is spelled S-E-T-A-R, and the other one, the Indian, is spelled S-I-T-A-R, which is the spelling I'm used to. Now, that could just be a typo. I don't know. But I'm pointing that out just in case there's a difference. "I had to do an on-the-road repair to the sitar," and he spelled it the S-E-T-A-R way again. "It fell on its stand on stage, and the curve of the bowl cracked. Using one of your videos as a guide, I was able to glue it and tape it." So I did have a sitar, I think I called it something like creative clamping or something like that, so you could look that video up if you're interested. It worked beautifully. "I look forward to your future videos and to sharing the knowledge, and I love your laid-back style in which you do your work." Well, thank you very much, Michael. It's quite a compliment. I really appreciate the very nice note. I get a lot of nice notes from a lot of nice people. I get the occasional hateful note also, but it's pretty rare. I mean, I would say 1 in 100 is hateful. So I really do appreciate all the folks taking the time to tell me how much they like the videos and things. I've got a picture of Michael and his instruments. I think you'll like this picture. It's really cool. Okay, you've seen Michael. Now we've got another one from across the pond. This must be Michael's neighbor. This one it doesn't get so specific. It doesn't say that he's from Ireland. It says he's from the UK. His name is Danny Parker, and he says, "Hello, just wanted to drop you a line to say thank you for all your fantastic and inspirational videos. I watch one each evening to wind down after a long shift and really look forward to it. It's just great watching someone with so much skill and knowledge. All the best, and thanks again. Danny Parker from the United Kingdom." And I've got a picture of Danny right here. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate the notes. If you'd like to send me a note or a picture or something like that, and we'll include them in future videos, feel free to do so. I apologize to these two guys. We talked about doing this quite a while back. This was at the end of October, and I'm just getting to it now. It's December, 8th today, I think it is. I could be wrong on that, too. But anyway, so I apologize for taking so long, but as you know, right after we talked about this, my computer died, and then it pretty much took the whole month of November to get rolling again, so here we are in December. But we did get to it. Once I tell you I'm going to do something, I'll do it. Hope you enjoyed the video on this bridge build for the J45. Hello friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works workshop. Got an instrument in from Ohio. It looks familiar because we've seen a number of these. It's another J45 Gibson. This one says J45 ADJ. I don't know. I don't, like I said, I am no expert on the models and all the different things like that. You can see this one's missing something. It came this way. Here's a little baggie with parts, spare parts. And I believe they want me to make them a custom bridge without all the adjustments in there. And I'm glad they put the original one in here so that I can use that as my pattern. That always helps. So we'll be doing that. We've got a couple of large holes here where the adjusters were, and I may try to fill those first. That just gives a little bit more strength. Not that much, but never hurts. So we'll probably fill those first. I've got my endoscope here, and if this works, you'll see the endoscope pictures next. Here you can see we're looking inside the guitar up at the bridge plate. There's an old metal washer right there that we're going to have to remove. The rest of the bridge plate looks like it's in pretty good shape. It's a little difficult to control the camera with my left hand and try to point out things. You can see there's one of the big holes and I'm poking my finger in. And there's the other hole from the other side there. I think we're going to show a picture of some of the bracing down in the back here in a moment. If we can get the camera spun around correctly. It's a little difficult to do. We're looking at the back tail block, and the tail block looks like it's in good shape. Here's one of the inside braces, and you can see there's been a lot of glue put on there. That's actually on the back. It's a little difficult. I'm sorry the camera's spinning around, but you can see that the glue is holding and everything. Doesn't look like anything's loose, but they were fairly generous with their glue. And there's another brace back further that I think we'll see here in just a moment that's been re-glued also. And that one looks like it's holding too. So everything looks pretty good on the inside of the guitar. Don't really see a problem. I think we're going to come up and look at the neck block now. Well, there's the actual little label inside there, J45 ADJ, as I said. And now we're looking at the neck block. And it's a little too close right there, but you can see... And I don't think the camera's turned correctly, but you know, you can still see that the joint is tight. And again, up along the neck there, it looks tight. So doesn't appear to be any problems at all with the inside of the guitar. Well, it appears that the endoscope pictures were successful inside there, and they pointed out that there's still a washer up inside. So I'm going to try to get that washer out. No point in leaving it in there. Boy, it's stuck. I grabbed it with my fingernails and finally pried it down. Looked much bigger in the camera, but that's all it amounts to. Just a little tiny washer. Now what we'll do is I'll go look around and see what I can come up with to plug these holes. Go find me some spruce and cut it to that shape. Thought I'd show you how I went about fixing this. On the lathe, I took and it's hard to explain. The board, if this was a board, it would have been running like this. So I just cut down through the board so that the grain would be matching the top of this, and then I turned it down on my lathe to match the inner hole and the outer hole. So I can put that plug in there now and make the grain go the same way. Not that it's that big of a critical difference, but it just is, you know, it just makes it look better. And now I know you're not going to see it, but you know, I know about it, so there you go. And then I turned that little tiny end on it there so that it would go down in the hole, the full depth of the top. Anyway, we're going to plug those holes that way. That's how we're doing it. Now I just slice this off. And so here's what the finished product will look like. It'll go in there like that. Of course, then I'll have to plane them down smooth, and got to get them glued in there good too. Then we'll plane them off smooth, and then it's flush, and you got a little better gluing surface, and you know, it's not going to make that much difference. But anyway, might as well do it while we got the opportunity. And I've already got this one glued in. Just thought I'd show you that I do put glue on both surfaces, just like always, and down in the hole. I've already got glue all the way around the little disc, and then I just turn the grain the same way and mash it in the hole. And turn the grain there where it kind of matches. Like I said, none of that really matters much on something this small. But then I'm just going to put a couple of clamps on there just for an hour and let them. I use wood glue. I could have used a fast setting glue, but I like wood glue. It's really a lot stronger on these kinds of things. I will tell you that clamping these is definitely overkill, but on the other side of the coin, the idea is to make it as strong as we can possibly make it. Getting that glue squeeze out so that there's a very thin amount of glue on those plugs makes them really strong. So anyway, they'll be held in there. I'm going to let that set for just about an hour, and that's all it really needs. Then we'll plane this off, we'll clean off this area, and we'll start making our bridge. Thought I'd show you what I'm making this bridge out of. It's quite the piece of wood. This is what I'm actually going to make it out of. It's a piece of what I think is rosewood, but I'm not 100% sure. Someone gave this to me years ago. I've been using it for years for bridges. It makes great bridges. It's very resonant wood, and I just sliced that piece out of this piece. So, you know, just so you know, I mean, this is being made from scratch, and I just thought you might get a kick out of seeing what it's actually coming out of. And I've actually already penciled the bridge in there. I don't know if you can see that a little bit, maybe, the pencil marks. So I've actually got it penciled in right here, so I'll be making the bridge out of that section right there. We've got the bridge just blank roughed out, and it's just roughed out. So now what I'll do is I'll take a pencil and score this again. I've also run it through the thickness sander, so it's the same thickness everywhere. And I'm going to score it with a fairly thick pencil, and then I'm going to leave the pencil mark, and that way this bridge will be just a tiny bit bigger than the old bridge, and that'll cover up any, you know, blemishes or scars right around the edge that way. Or it doesn't cover them up entirely, but it makes them less noticeable. So, you know, and we're not really making it much bigger either. So it's just kind of got a double benefit. You're not really changing the guitar much, and you're also covering up a few of the little blemishes. What I'm going to do now is I have a transfer punch that it's a 7/32, and it matches these holes exactly. So what I'm going to do is put it down in these holes, and I'm going to very carefully, without letting anything move, transfer where these holes belong right here. Okay, you can probably see that the holes are marked there, and that way they'll be exactly in the same place that they used to be. I'll use a center drill and drill them with a center drill to make sure that we get them perfectly centered on those marks, and then that will you know, make sure that the holes in the guitar top line up perfectly, and that way we won't have to weaken the top by making the holes bigger or anything like that. We're in the main shop, got the drill press going, and we're just going to drill these holes with what's referred to a center. This is called a center drill, and that's what we're going to drill the holes with. It's a very stiff drill, and it helps you get the hole started straight. Should be able to see that we have 6 holes drilled exactly where they used to be. Now we've replaced the center drill with a 7/32 drill, and we will now just go ahead and make the holes go on straight through. It would have been possible to drill these without the center drill, of course, but the center drill really makes the bit follow the hole down through straight, where a standard bit like this, when you start it in flush wood, it likes to wander and follow the grain a little bit. But now that we had the hole started, it just followed it straight on through. It makes a real clean, nice, perfect hole. I might point out that this bridge, at the moment here I'm checking it, the old bridge is about 275 thousandths thick. This presently is way thicker. It's 410 thousandths. Well, I think that one of the problems with these old bridges is that they're a little bit thin. So I'm going to leave this new one at about 300, maybe 310 thousandths, something like that. And you can always plane it down later if it's too thick. But I think, you know, that'll give it a little bit more support, probably even a little bit more sustain. And just, you know, it just makes it a good solid attachment. So anyway, it's like I said, about 410 now, so we're going to take about 100 thousandths off of this before we get ready to actually do the work. We'll do that on my thickness sander. At the bench just so I can take a good close look at it. It's exactly 300, well, it's 311 thousandths if I'm going to be exact. So it's, you know, a thousandth over the 110 or the 310 I was shooting for, but that's okay. This one, it measures really a lot of different things. Down at this side it's about 272, up at this side it's 292. So anyway, I'm 30 to 40 thousandths thicker than the old bridge, which I think is probably a good thing. Now of course we still have to scallop the ends like these ends are scalloped, and we'll do that on the sander also. I double checked everything. I went ahead and just penciled in where the old bridge was in here, and the only reason I did that was to give me an eyeball reference. If you look at the scallop, it ends just before you get there on both sides. So basically that's what I'm going to do, is just push this in and scallop these ends off just before it gets to that, and just try to keep it square as I go in there. There's no way you can really machine that. Well, there is a way you can machine it, I just don't have those machines. So I basically just do it by hand and by eye, and it'll be fine. Well, we got that all finished. It looks pretty close to identical to the old one. Obviously the color's different, but we can always stain this one darker if we need to. So it really does match just about perfectly now. This will help you see how much of a scallop there is in the new one there. It pretty much matches the old one
just about exactly. The only difference is, as I mentioned, I left this a little thicker, and I left the ends just a little thicker too. Not a lot. Like the ends on this one are pretty darn thin. They're like 115 thousandths. I left this one at 125 thousandths. So we're just talking 10 thousandths of an inch thicker. So that's a hundredth of an inch thicker. You know, I think that's a good thing. I think these sometimes get a little too thin. Sometimes I think they take them overboard, and you see them crack a lot of times on the edges. So just having it just a tiny bit thicker is going to make it stronger, and I think it gives it a little bit more sustain too. So anyway, we're just about ready to glue this puppy right back on the guitar. I think you can see that these have been glued in and are solid now. So I'm just going to take my little finger plane and plane them off flush. No big deal. To the point where you just can't really feel the difference with your fingers. Those are some pretty significant large holes, so I do think it's a good idea to fill them, and just makes it that much stronger. Okay, now the thing is that we've got to put this on here, precisely mark it, and get it on here, and then scratch around it with an X-Acto knife, and then we'll remove everything inside of that mark. You've seen me do this before, and I just make sure that I've got the bridge straight and square. I've got all the pegs in there just to kind of help me line it up a little bit. Though they don't line it up all that great, to be perfectly honest with you, because they're usually a little small. But you know, you go by eye and you look and make sure that it's matching up the old space real good. And then you just lightly score it. You try to keep it from moving. Once you start this, you can't undo it. I always make sure I've got a very sharp X-Acto knife too. And it's really easy for the X-Acto knife to wander, so you've got to really kind of pay attention to that. Okay, that's about as good as we can do. Now we'll get down with the little fine tools and clean off all the finish that's inside those marks. And there's quite a bit of finish and residue inside those marks. So we'll take a little while to clean that up. I'll be using my little homemade tool that holds my round bit, and you know, you could use a chisel. I like this one because I can rock it and just pick the edges and corners. I just think it's the perfect tool.
There was a time.
This finish is very brittle, so what I'm doing is I'm taking the sharp edge of the blade, putting it in that crack and pulling it to the inside, and it's just scraping it right out of there.
The music was always loud. I'd sing and play too much until I fell in your arms and into your loving touch. Now as the years roll by, time has reeled me in, and I've slowed down a notch or two from the way things were then. In those old ways of mine, I've left them behind. Those crazy days are through. The only thing I still do like I used to do is carry this.
Feels really good now. I don't feel any bumps or anything that's out of the ordinary. Okay, let's see how the new bridge lays on there now. It should lay on there pretty good, I would think.
We'd pack our bags and run, chasing some crazy.
Like I said, if it was any better, it'd be perfect. Then it wouldn't look like I did it. So I think that's just about as good as it gets. I think we're ready to glue that baby down and call it good for the day. All right, I've got the glue spread around on here a little bit. Spread it out now with the paintbrush, making sure that we get every little tiny nook and cranny covered.
As you're by my side, here in my heart it seems time has passed me by, but I love you as much today as the very first time. And those old ways of mine, I've left them behind. Those crazy days are through. The only thing I still...
We'll just clean that up a little bit more and we'll bring you back when it's all finished.
Well, it's been overnight and we are going to take the clamps off. I'm sure that it's glued up really, really well. Don't think we'll have any issues with it at all. Just barely can fit 3 clamps in that whole hole. But we make it work.
I do it all over again. And those old ways of mine,
Looking good.
Yeah, that looks real nice. It's on there really solid, really flat.
Drilling out the holes. I've already drilled out the first 3.
just carry this torch for you.
Feels good. Nice and smooth under there, so we should be good. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to level all the frets. No point doing this yet until I can, make sure the fretboard's good and all that, and then we'll start stringing her up and we'll figure out where we need to set the intonation. Sometimes I think I'm actually psychic. I was looking down the fretboard, just eyeing down it, and I thought, it looks really flat, but there's just something about it that bothers me, and I just wonder if that truss rod's right. I don't know why, I just have these feelings sometimes. But sure enough, I took the truss rod cover off, and this nut is absolutely, completely loose. Look how loose it is. I'm just taking 2 little fingers and spinning it, and it just spins like nothing. So it wasn't even snug tight. So I'm gonna snug it up tight. I'm not gonna go crazy with it or anything, but I am gonna snug it up tight. That could easily have been vibrating. It was that loose. So like I said, it already looks flat, but I just felt like there was an issue, and sure enough, there was. If anything, it even looks flatter now because I did snug it pretty good there. So I think that looks good. So now we'll just put the truss rod cover back on there. Didn't really have to do anything to that actually, other than just snug it up. All right, we're not going to do all the whole filming of this. You've seen it so many times. But again, just to show that I'm going to level all the frets. They look pretty level already, so I'm not going to do much filing here unless I see a real high spot or feel a high spot. We've got them all level. Didn't take very much, although there were definitely high spots. So we got it all level now. You can see where the file has touched it all the way across there. And now I'm just going to take the recrowning tool and just kind of re-round the tops of them a little bit. Again, I'm not going to show this whole process. Just thought I'd show a little tip about recrowning these frets. I've been using this same recrowning tool for years, and I've replaced all of the files here at least once, except for this large one. And I don't use this real large one that often, but I will tell you something that happens with this large one. These 2 outside edges will actually wrap past the fret and actually scratch your fretboard. So what I did was I, very carefully filed these down level. Actually, what I did was I think I put them on my sander and the belt sander, and just stuck it down on there till those edges were almost flat, just to where the teeth started to show there.
and that way it doesn't make scratches on the fretboard anymore. So if you're having trouble with that, that's what you can do, is just lay this on a belt sander and sand it down flat. Anyway, that looks good now. They're recrowned. We're going to take some fine sandpaper now and just kind of polish them up where they all look the same. Again, I could go this way with them, and polish them, and that's fine too. But with this 1200, it really doesn't matter. And I go for speed and for looks. And the looks will probably be a hair better if I went this way, but you really can't tell the difference, and this does a real good job. And it has one added benefit of me going this way. For the way I do this, now I'm not saying it works for everybody, but the way I do this, the added benefit is that it scuffs up this fingerboard. And you think, well, why is that good? Well, that's good because now when I can see all the imperfections in the fingerboard, and I will take all of those out with a single edge razor blade in a minute. So I like buffing them this direction. Some people say, well, what about bending strings? Does it cause a problem bending strings? This sandpaper is so fine, 1200, that it's just like a mirror on top of those frets. So no, it doesn't cause a problem at all. If you were using a heavier grit, perhaps it would. And so to me, with all the instruments that I have to work on, speed is a very important criteria. And of course it's important to my customers too, because they want their instruments back fast. So the faster I can get these things done and out of here, the happier everybody is. And of course I don't want to sacrifice quality, so that's not what we're doing here. We're not sacrificing quality. As I said, this is a real good method for the way I do this. Works really good. And I can look across and see how shiny they are, and I just kind of go till they all look real shiny and I don't see any big marks in the frets anymore. That looks pretty good. I don't see any problem now. They're real shiny, slicker than the snot on a doorknob. And as I always do, now we'll take a single edge razor blade and we'll clean up the entire fretboard. And then of course we will oil it. I'm not going to show this entire cleaning up process, but if you look close here, you can see the dents in the fingerboards. I think you can see them real clearly right there. And then I'll show you a before and after. So there's a before, and when I get done here, you might still be able to see a little bit of this because it's so deep, but most of it's going to be gone. What I do to avoid taking too much is I really watch it close, and the last one there is just about to disappear, and that's just about where I stop. So now you can see an after. You don't see any. The second one, you can still see the bumps in it, but the first one is just pretty much perfectly flat. And that's what I'll do to the rest of them. All right, now that I've got the fretboard entirely level between the frets, I always go right back down the edge of every fret with the edge of the razor blade and clean right up against the fret. And because the method puts a lot of junk right up against each fret. All right, that's just about perfect. Looks just like a brand new fretboard with the exception of the oil. The oil will make it look just like brand new. This will probably sound silly to even talk about this, but I save all these old paper towels. Like this one yesterday, I used it to wipe up all the glue off the top of this, and I just let it dry out. I wringed it out and let it dry out. Now I will use this to apply the oil. It's kind of a way of recycling and using something 2 or 3 times before you throw it away. It not only is it good for the environment, but it's good for the pocketbook. So it's a little silly thing, but just mention it in case you hadn't really thought of that. I mean, there's no reason to use a brand new paper towel to do something this nasty. Now, I'm not going to oil the bridge yet, mainly because I kind of wanted to see how this turned out. And you can see this is real nice and dark.
and the bridge is nice and light. So I'm going to dye the bridge a little bit, and then we'll do the oil thing to it, and it'll make it look a whole lot more like it. Okay. So while I'm letting that set up, we'll go ahead and dye the bridge. This takes a fine hand, or fine eye-hand coordination, so that you don't get a lot of junk all over the top of the guitar. So I am just working on the very top of it right at the moment. Looks like it's going to match real well. This is dark brown leather dye is what it is. I've been using it for years, so I don't need to do a lot of testing because I've done this for years. I know what it's going to turn out like, so I just do it nowadays. We'll give that dye, 10 minutes or so to dry. It doesn't really need much time at all. I could probably go over it right now. But I'll give it a little while to soak into the wood pores real good and dry. And then I'll just take a dry cloth and wipe it down real good to try to get any excess dye off of it, because the dye will rub off on your hands for a while. That's probably the only real negative to using this kind of a dye, is that it does rub off on your hands. The positive side of that, though, is once I put the linseed oil over it, that really does lock it in pretty good, and it shouldn't come off, I don't. Alright, I've taken a dry rag here and I've wiped the bridge down real good to get rid of any extra dye laying on top there. And you can see it does kind of wipe off for a while. Like here's a clean spot, and you can see it does wipe off some. So that's okay. Once I put the linseed oil on it, that tends to keep it from wiping off so much. There appears to be just a little bit of glue smudge around the edge here where maybe I didn't get the glue cleaned as good as I thought I did. So I'm going to just dampen the paper towel now and wipe that. I think I can get that off of there. Yep, came right off. A little bit on this side too. And we'll dry it up again. Yeah, that looks much better. Makes that top look just about like brand new, and other than the finish cracks themselves. And of course the fretboard looks just like brand new now too. So just about as good as it gets for an old guitar. Now the tricky part comes stringing up and cutting this slot for intonation. I've decided I kind of got ahead of myself a little bit. I probably should have sanded this a little bit more. I was just relying on the thickness sander, and I can see a little sanding marks in it and stuff. So I've got some 400 paper here, and I'm just going to go back over this. I'll have to restain it again. That's okay. I don't mind that. But mainly the top here, I don't have to worry about the edges so much, but the top, where you're going to see it a lot, I just want to smooth out those little sanding marks. color of that doesn't look too bad, but it is lightened up enough that we need to darken it again. So we'll get the dye back out and darken that back up. We're going to rig this thing up so we can start to set the intonation. The customer is gone back and forth on his strings a couple of times in emails, and in his letter here he says he wants 12 to 56. Later in an email he said he would like lights. Actually, I don't have 12 to 56, I've got 13 to 56, and that's the string I think that this guitar should handle without any problem. So that's what I'm going to set it up for, is 13 to 56. And that's a medium, considered a medium string, and I think it'll be just fine. If I get into it and I find out that it doesn't look fine, well, then we'll go to lights, but I don't think there's going to be any problem. Whoops, I'm putting this in the wrong place here talking. I need to just connect it up right here for now. I've got leather underneath my little rig here to keep it from scratching the top. Almost perfect there now. We'll try the high side. Boy, it's almost perfect. Pretty good. I think I'll go ahead and mark that, and I will mark both sides of the saddle under the strings. Now this saddle is actually a little narrow, so what I'll do is I'll consider the front edge here the important edge, and I'll make sure that the front edge is in the right place, because that's where the string leaves the saddle. Possibly see that I have the line drawn across there. It goes right across here, and I just draw the front edge. I don't really care that much about the back edge. I just have that there more for reference than anything. And when we put our little bit in there, we'll be sure that the bit just takes away on that side of the line and touches the line, and then we should be good. Well, as luck would have it, my little jig here doesn't quite work for this specific saddle. It fits it just about right on this end, but as I go across here, it's cutting the slot on that side of where it needs to be. So I need to move this way a little bit to move the bit that way a little bit. So I can't get it to go any further, so I'm going to take this apart and cut the slot in this a little bit more this way. I'm just going to do this by hand, and I'm just going to move this slot this way, right where this rubber thing is, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that will let it go far enough forward. Just barely have any lip to ride on there if I have to go that far. But hopefully that'll work. And if I don't have enough lip, then I'll just have to take and cut this back too then. We'll see how it goes. Probably aren't going to be able to see very much of this anyway, but we'll leave the camera on and show you what we're doing. This is a tricky operation here. This is where you can mess up everything. Of course, you can't mess it up unless you plug it in. Now it's plugged in. Okay, here we go. This is the operation that I always hold my breath on. I didn't exactly mess up anything, but I don't have it the way I want it. I didn't think about it. I need to put my spacer in here. I'm actually cutting the slot where it needs to be. That's not a problem. But I should have had my spacer in here already, and then that way I take the spacer out and it cuts the slot wider. So I'm going to have to reset up here. I'll bring you back when I get it reset up. It was a fairly easy solution. I just drew a real fine pencil line there where I had it setting. Then I put my spacer on and I moved it back to that pencil line again. It should line right up, and I think it will. Yeah, it seems like it does. So it's lined right back up in the hole. So we should be good to go. No big harm done or anything. Glad I caught it before I got it all the way finished. Okay, the slot's not deep enough. That's the first issue, but that's the way it always works. I never cut it the full depth on the first try. So while everything is still where it's at here, we'll move the blade down deeper, but we're going to try to determine how deep we need to go. We'll put the calipers in here and see if we can tell how deep we are. See if you can get a little better view of what I'm doing. So I drop that in the hole, and it says we're at about 95 thousandths. Try to check it again. Yeah, 90 thousandths. Let me just check it again. Around 90 thousandths. I would like to go deeper than that. Probably like to go another 90 thousandths deep. So we'll, if we got it to 180 thousandths, I think that's plenty deep. So I'm going to try to set this at another 90 to 100 thousandths deeper with this gauge. I've advanced the bit down, or dropped the bit down another 90 thousandths. So here we go. All right, so we'll take the spacer out and do it again. And according to this, the slot ended up being about 185 thousandths, which is just about double where we started, so roughly. So that's pretty good. All right, we've got our piece of antler roughed out and in the slot there. As a matter of fact, it fits the slot so snug it's hard to pull it out of there. But it fits it really tight on the ends and on the sides both. One of the things I always do when I'm fitting a new saddle is I push it down in there as far as I can get it to go, and I take a very light pencil line across the front of it. And what I'm doing there is I'm checking to make sure that it's level. And as you can see, this one's not. I didn't think it was. It's not going in as deep on this side as it is on this side. So I'm going to get in there with a little tiny chisel or something and clean it out. There must be some little burr or something keeping it from going down. And I'm only talking I don't know, 5 or 10 thousandths of an inch, but I can tell it's not going down. I want to make sure that the saddle is in there really good and perfect. There, it felt like it went right on down that time. Just as nice as it could that time. Now we'll draw another line and see if it looks better. I have a feeling it'll look a lot better. Oh yeah, much better. You can probably see the old line and the new line. The old line's much higher here now. So that means it's going down in there nice and deep. If anything, for whatever reason, it almost looks like the other end is not going all the way to the very bottom. So I'm just going to make sure, because there is a little lip right there at this end. I just don't want to have it sitting up. I want it really sitting flush on the bottom of the hole. That might be better yet. Yep, yeah, that did go on down just a little bit. And I mean, it was just a tiny amount on that side. But that'll do it. And now it's really hard to get out because it's really in there deep. Yeah, much better. Much, much better. You can see the line goes all the way across now at one level. So it's in there nice and deep, and that's what you want. Okay, we're about ready to start stringing this thing up, and just once again I show you that that's what I do to the end of the peg. I taper it down. Here's one, the other side of it that's not been tapered yet, and you can see the difference there, I think. That really does make your string button slide off of it much easier. You don't catch on the end of the string. And you can push it right down past. Looks like it's going to work fine. We'll bring you back when we get her strung up. Alright, I've measured the string height. On the bass side it is 140 thousandths. On the treble side it's 125. Keep in mind this was just sitting here rough. We don't know how high it needs to be. So I would like to see the treble side around, I'm just going to shoot for about 85 thousandths. I'm going to shoot for the bass side around 90 thousandths. So that leaves the bass side 50 thousandths high right now and the other side 40 thousandths high. So that means I have to double those numbers and take that off of here. So off of the bass side I need to take 100 thousandths off, and on the treble side I need to take 80 thousandths off. And that should put us just about where we want to be. To the best of my ability, I've marked off 100 thousandths on this side and 80 thousandths on this side, and now we'll just take it over to the sanding disc and just slide it in there and cut off that amount. We got her all fixed up. Action's real nice. Couldn't get it much lower, I don't think, without buzzing. Got a nice sound. Very nice guitar. I've got my doubts that it's sounded this good in a long time. But everything fit up real nice, looks real good. Let's see what we can do with it here.
Sleigh bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, snow's glistening. A beautiful sight, we're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. Gone away is the bluebird, here to stay is the new bird. He sings a love song as we stroll along, walking in a winter wonderland. In the meadow we can build a snowman and pretend that he is Parson Brown. He'll say, are you married? We'll say, no man, but you can do the job if you're in town. Later on we'll conspire as we dream by the fire. We'll face unafraid the plans that we made, walking in a winter wonderland. Yes, we'll face unafraid the plans that we made, walking in a winter wonderland.
Pretty good sounding guitar. Hope you enjoyed that little quick setup on this J45 Gibson. J45 ADJ, whatever that is. Thank you for watching.